One thing I've learned about game stores is that game stores normally charge higher prices for the good games. So normally, say Final Fantasy VI will be about $40 to $50 for the Super Nintendo, and Chrono Trigger will be slightly higher, for example. Or on the Sega Saturn, how games like Dragon Force are pretty expensive too. And then you have games that are overrated getting priced high because of all the people who want them. Games such as Mega Man X. Now, this game was for 21 bucks, and because I had never owned a Super Nintendo, I just got one. I decided to buy this game because I had a bunch of money and I knew that if I got a good game for a Super Nintendo, I'd be playing it a lot. So I purchased Mega Man X for about $21, and I bought it, put it in my Super Nintendo, and I just feel like I had $20 pulled out of my wallet because this game is bad. It's overrated. I don't get why people like this. I mean, I also don't get why it's 20 bucks because there are better games that cost less than 20 bucks for the Super Nintendo. So anyways, let's start the review, shall we? Alright, so the gameplay of Mega Man X is you run around playing as a character named Mega Man X, who's some robot in some future where robots are all sentient and stuff. Of course, even though Mega Man X looks like a human in a robot cosplay for the local anime con. The gameplay is basically run and shoot forward, and that's about it. The main things you have to avoid are cheap enemies, which are always in the way, and cheap death pits, which are always everywhere. Just look at the introduction stage. The enemies just build death pits, which can be impossible to jump out of. And because of the way the enemies hit you, you'll lose your health real quickly and eventually die. And there's no continues either. You just are given a password because there's no saving, because apparently save memory was too expensive that day. And you have to enter the password in every time you want to start all over again. I mean, just look at this death pit. I was running and all of a sudden just playing all normal and stuff, killing all these robots, which, look, I don't know, the character design is not that great in my opinion, but whatever. And then all of a sudden, I'm stuck. I'm trying to jump out of here, but I can't because there's a ledge on top of me, and I have nothing to do other than die. That is what we call great level design. Brought to you by Capcom. Yup, that's cheap. But anyways, now that I've gotten the bad gameplay out of the way, because after all, gameplay is supposed to matter more than graphics and sound, the music sounds like elevator music. It is some of the best elevator music you can hear on the Super Nintendo, and by that I mean it's extremely forgettable to the point where you'll easily forget it. Oh, and another thing I forgot to brought up. Enemies respawn real easily. Just walk off the screen, boom, the enemies are there again. So you can mine them for stuff if you want, but other than that, they're just kind of cheap and stuff. Especially if they're annoying enemies you hate. But anyways, the music is forgettable. Honestly, it's just not that great. It's overrated. All in all, it's just bland and repetitive. As for the graphics are the only thing I can say are alright about this game, because at least they look okay for a Super Nintendo game. I mean, they could be worse, they could be Bebe's Kids or some other game, but they're not the worst. That's all the praise I can say about this game, because this game's just not that great, really. I'd probably review the other Mega Mans, but they're all just the same game reskinned. In fact, they made 8 Mega Man X's, most of which were reskins. Then you had Mega Man 8, which was a reskin of Mega Man 7 and looked like a Super Nintendo game, and Mega Man 1 through 6 were the exact same game. And then 9 and 10 were copies of Mega Man 2, so yeah, they're just reskinning. It's like how many we can possibly milk. I mean, everybody says EA is bad at milking and stuff, and so is Activision, but Capcom is run by hipsters. They've been milking before it was cool. So, Yeah, all in all, this game is just not that great. In fact, the whole series is just reskins, so that's all I'm really going to review is this game. Don't buy this game. $20 was a ripoff. I kind of regret it. I should have bought a better game, like, oh, I don't know, an RPG maybe, or some other good games. There were so many good games on the Super Nintendo. I could have bought one of the better games. Anyways, thanks for watching and subscribe for more.